audio did not record for the first half of the video, so I'm gonna have to voice it over on what is going to happen. So I'll probably just at the start of whatever I'm doing say what all is happening and then just let y'all listen to pretty music the rest of the time. So the recipe we're actually making in this video is the third cookie recipe from the sugar cookie murder. It is called the Heavenly Tea Cookies. They're on this page and that page. So for this, it does have to chill for overnight or up to 4 hours. So what we're going to need is 1.5 cups of melted butter, 3 sticks, 3/4 of a pound, 2 cups firmly packed brown sugar, 2 beaten eggs, just whip them up in a glass with a fork, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla or other flavoring. I use lemon extract. Because it said that, I went with the lemon instead of the vanilla. 1.5 cups dried mixed fruit chopped with 2 tablespoons flour, measured fruit after chopping, and 3 cups of flour. I just went with an assortment of what my store had, so I think it ended up being like cranberries, blueberries, golden raisins, regular raisins, just a random mix of stuff. And then, yeah, I don't think there's anything really that stands out in like the recipe stuff, the notes. It does say when you go to roll it, if it's too hard, to let it chill for another 10 minutes. It does say you have to refrigerate it overnight is fine too. You can keep it in your fridge for up to a week. And then it does say yield 6 to 7 dozen, and it says these cookies are not very sweet. If you prefer a sweeter cookie, adjust the tops with powdered sugar before serving. Here is everything we are going to be using today. So the first line of the instructions says to melt the butter in the microwave for 2.5 minutes. It's already been done because the ingredients themselves say to have 1.5 cups of melted butter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to add in the brown sugar and get that all mixed up and let it cool down for several minutes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the eggs, the baking powder, and the vanilla. We're going to get all of those mixed in. So the next bit is we have to take the 2 tablespoons of flour and mix it into our dried mixed fruit. It does say to chop it in a food processor with a steel blade and mix it in, but my fruit's already cut up, so I'm just gonna mix it in by hand and then add that mixture into the mixing bowl and mix it up. Following that, you're gonna add the flour 1 cup at a time, stirring after each addition. For this next part, we're going to cover it with plastic wrap and it's going to sit in the fridge for 20 minutes until we pull it out to divide it into 4 parts with wax paper. Alright, so it's been sitting in the fridge for 20 minutes. I divided it into 4, but this, while oily, it is sticking to the mat. I don't have wax paper, so I try to use cling wrap, but it stuck to that. So it does say if it's sticky to put it back in for 10 minutes. I think that's what we're gonna have to do because it's sticking to everything. This is gonna take longer than 20 minutes, which I thought was odd because normally when you have to refrigerate something, you refrigerate for an hour, like with sugar cookies and stuff. So back to the fridge it goes. Okay, we are back. It is an hour and a half later. It's much more firm, not as oily, and I have wax paper. So, try this again. It says we want to make logs that are 2 inches in diameter. 4 of them. So, here's our first amount. I still don't actually know how I'm supposed to make a log out of this. I don't know why it says it had to be wax paper. Am I supposed to roll it? Pat it? I don't actually know what I'm supposed to be doing with this. So I'm curious where tea cookie comes from. Why is it a tea cookie? Is it just like a really good cookie to put in your tea? I mean, I'm curious where that part of the name comes in. I definitely recommend using wax paper. Like, plastic wrap was not cutting it. And I let it chill for a long time. I did. But I still think this is much easier than trying to attempt plastic wrap. With plastic wrap all sticking together. So, now that we have our 4 logs, so the first 3 are roughly all the same size and length. And then you have the last one, which is the same length, but it's like, it feels at least a little bit bigger. So I almost got it split pretty even. Now we're just gonna pop them in a Ziploc bag for at least 4 hours. And then we will bake them off. So now they'll go in the fridge. Okay, so it has been hours and hours. We have our 4 rolls. The oven is preheated to 375. And we are just going to slice them up and bake them off. So it does say that if one side is flat, to give it a little bit of a roll. Yeah, I don't think that's really going to do anything as far as getting it whatever. Alright, so at this point it's just like slicing Pillsbury cookies, I imagine. We're putting them on greased baking sheets. I, of course, have the mats. And then just plop them down. Alright, so we have finished up. We got 72 cookies in total. That's 6 dozen. Now they're just going to go in the oven for 10 minutes, cool in a rack for 2 minutes. Or they'll go in the oven for 10 minutes, cool on the sheets for 2 minutes, and then go on a wire rack. All right, so here we are, all finished baking. Here are all the cookies. Now, these ones are a lot darker right here. Both of these two, or like the first and the second batch, they both got 10 minutes. But these came out so dark that after that one, I gave the rest of the batches 9 minutes, and they came out pretty uniform in color. Here is the Heavenly Tea Cookie. Okay. They're very lemony. As just a little cookie, they're not bad. They're not. They're decent. They're okay. They kind of stand out with the lemon flavor. And like I said, if you had a cup of tea, that lemon leaching into the tea would probably be really good. So that's probably something I'll try later, just to see how it works out. Or if that's a legitimate thing. This is me guessing. But they're light. They're kind of refreshing. Crisp cookie. Nothing really to that. Next week, we are making the Lisa's Pieces cookies. So if you're interested in seeing those, join us next week. I hope you'll have a good week. Bye, guys.